Good evening. I'm Keesey, and I am part of the music department employees for McDonough First United Methodist Church. When I was a young adult, I was in charge of two committees in our church, which was a Presbyterian church, and that was a piece of cake, directing and heading those committees. But in the Presbyterian church, there is a policy that says that all meetings must begin and end with prayer. That is the part that for me was very daunting. As a matter of fact, I could worry all day because I had to offer prayer out loud in front of the committee, and I was just terrified. And I got to realize that as a kid in the Lutheran church, we were taught to pray, and we were taught to be able to say a prayer ourselves in our bedrooms or wherever. And but I was never taught to say a prayer out loud in front of people. And interestingly enough, we came to McDonough First, and we believe that it's necessary to offer prayer at the end of choir, and especially when we've done joys and concerns. And it was absolutely essential that we had to do it, and therefore I did, and the more I did it, the better I got at it, I suppose. When the disciples were together, they asked Jesus, "Teach us to pray." They must have felt somewhat the same way, that they didn't exactly know how to talk to God the way Jesus was. And Jesus gave them the Lord's Prayer. And we all know it well. And it is a way of having a prayer source that we can pray to God, and we can use that. The key to prayer is to start simply and quietly. Prayer doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be fancy. We just need to find somewhere to start. When I was at a time more recently than long ago, that I felt that my prayers were somewhat ineffective. And I realized that I could start in the beginning of the day, and I could say to God, this happened, and I was so thankful for it, or this event happened and it upset me. And that would stir my mind to be able to think of other things to say that that were requests to God or thanks to God for giving me a part of my day that was meaningful. And I still do that. Lots of times at the end of the day, I will just lie in bed and think about how the day went and what was a blessing and what was difficult. And I will ask God then to be with me in the future so that the difficulties don't happen again, and the blessings keep coming my way. The Bible is God's way of talking to us, and prayer is our way of talking to God. And it's a primary way that we connect to the infinite all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God. And it is critical that Christian people stay in contact with God and get close to Him through prayer. Talk to God about it in quiet, isolated places like your bedroom or your quiet spot where you don't have to worry about being self-conscious about what you say. You don't even have to talk out loud. If you just think your prayer, and sometimes I picture God sitting next to me and me talking to Him. And I talk just as I would if I were talking to a good friend. The more you practice prayer, the better you will get at it, because you will get to know God better and you will increase your relationship with Him just as you would with a friend. The more you talk to friends, the more you get to know them, and it's the same with God. He connects with you in a very, very powerful way. Sometimes during prayer, when you're not talking, God has a chance to talk, and God will give you answers, sometimes before you even get finished with the question. So remember that God is listening, and God is going to answer your prayer either with a yes or with a no, not yet, or with a patience, the answer's coming, but God hears it. This devotion is taken from God is in the small stuff, and it all matters. And this was written by Bruce and Stan, who are authors of Guide to God. It's a wonderful little book with short chapters. After he writes the little devotion about prayer or any of the subjects in the book, he has a portion of the chapter called In the Small Stuff. And he says, prayer changes things. Pray for people who dislike you, and pray for people you dislike. When you pray, be careful to distinguish your needs from your desires. Prayer without effort will be insincere, and effort without prayer will be ineffective. If your prayers don't mean anything to you, they'll mean less to God. Live humbly and pray likewise. Don't pray for a lighter load. Pray for a stronger back. Become quiet before God in the busyness and the noisiness of the day. Prayer involves listening to God as well as speaking to Him. You can't stand up to Satan if you don't kneel before God. Pray with perseverance and expectancy. At its core, prayer is giving yourself to God. I love that one. Pray as if the task depends on God, and work as if it depends on you. The next time you feel weak in the knees, try using them to pray. There is no such thing as a successful or unsuccessful prayer. People of God may not talk about their prayer habits, but their lives will speak volumes. So I hope that this week is a blessing to you, and I hope that you will practice the prayers that you have, and will feel God's presence in everything, every conversation that you have with Him. It is a blessing to be able to talk directly to our God.